What's up, Duke fans? Welcome to the Devil's Den podcast. I'm your host, Josh Smith, joined by co-host Raul and Shu. We figured we'd come in here and do a little bit of like player previews, I guess. There's not a whole lot going on right now over the summer, folks. First off, I guess we're going to split this thing up into kind of three separate pods. We really aren't doing, it's going to sound like a little bit, but we're trying to maybe do like a guard wing forward, guard wing big, however you want to classify it. But today we figured we'd start with Caleb, Cayden, and Isaiah, or Slim, as we call him now. And we'll kind of get into it a little bit. We'll do some player prop stuff. We'll talk about areas of improvement. Kind of make it fun. Got some storyline things to get into here a little bit. Fellas, I guess before we hop into that, though, we should probably at least talk about the news that broke today. J-Rob going from player development at Duke over now to the Lakers. I really didn't see this coming. I've been on vacation for a week, so I wasn't in the loop too much, though. Was this in the works, fellas? Did this come out of left field? Surprised by this at all?
Yeah, I can't speak for Shu, but I hadn't heard anything about it. It's just interesting. It's like, what is that, the third coach to leave so far?
A lot of turnover.
Emile, obviously. Emile Jefferson went to the Celtics. J-Rob goes to the Lakers. So that's two guys going to the NBA.
And then Jay to Miami, obviously.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not a surprise to me. I mean, the son of a NBA great, right? Like,
sure.
I'm sure he's been around the game enough. I thought he did a wonderful job for our guys. Glad that, we got a full season out of him this time. It wasn't like his senior year when COVID just ended and we never got to, we thought we'd never get to hear from J-Rob again. Right. So he come back, was on the staff for a couple of years and, from everything I've heard was like awesome with our guys. So wish him the best. Obviously he's going to be there with JJ and hopefully they get it going there.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I'll just add that, like, obviously we have nothing to go on but reports, but like you said, supposedly great with player development. I think what we've seen has reflected that, right? Like, we've seen a lot of guys who've gotten remarkably better over the course of the season, whether it's like a guy like Gongba or Evans or, just whoever over the course of the last few years.
Yeah, I mean, all reports were that he was beloved too, right? And so that kind of speaks for itself. I guess I didn't think it would be this quick, though. I mean, he hasn't been here that long. Hell, he was just playing in 2020, right? So it's like for that to happen that quick, maybe JJ came down, poached him a little bit, but hey, happy for you. So now we'll have some new faces. I don't know who's going to come into this role, what that's going to look like, but you already have Brad's and TT back, right? So sideline gets a little mixed up here a little bit. We'll see what happens. And a lot of turnover though for John already in 3 years. So already getting that coach going.
This opens up another spot, for somebody. So right, because I think they still had everything filled in, even with the additions of Brad and Thornton. So I don't know, Quinn Cook. I don't know what he's got going on, but I know his name got floated around a lot. The
last time guy, right? So it's like, hey, come on down.
Player development sounds like right up his alley. Quinn, you kind of look at the progression that he went on, right? Like, he knows all about it.
Yeah, and you're not going to put like TT, you're not going to put Thornton in charge of player development, right? That's like too low a position for him, honestly.
Right.
Like, he's coming in with like 6 years of coaching experience. Mm-hmm. He's going to be, I don't know what his official title is going to be, but it's going to be higher up than that.
Yeah, I would have just imagined just assistant coach.
Yeah, probably
at that point. So we'll see. I think also strength and conditioning. I think Will's retiring too, right? So a lot of things happening, man. We'll see, and John we trust. So
I mean, Raul, you got a resume ready? Strength and conditioning?
Oh yeah. Look at me. I'm the poster child for that.
Yeah,
probably done 30 minutes of exercise over the last 10 years. Yeah. I don't know, man. I think it actually just, speaks to what John's doing. Like, I think the turnover is not a symptom of like people not liking being there. The fact that they're going on to bigger and better things.
Yeah, they're promotions, right? Like for sure. So, John obviously probably just speaks for his guys well. So that's always cool. Have no doubt we're going to get a good guy to come in and replace it. So We'll see. We'll see. But fellas, let's start this thing. Again, kind of starting with the guards here a little bit. So we'll start with our returner, Caleb Foster. He's a junior, 6'5", 205 pounds. Didn't have the season that he probably wanted last year. Coming off the injury his freshman year. Started the season as the starter, as the quote unquote point guard. I think 6-7 games in, Sion took that and just kind of never gave it back. And, kind of a little up and down there for Caleb. So he finishes the year right at 5 points per game, 1.7 rebounds, 1.4 steals. The shooting splits for not great, really can't sugarcoat that, right? 41% from the field, 34% from three, 63% from the line. Mm-hmm. Pretty brutal there. I mean, guys, we talked about it a little bit, but he had a little bit of the Tyrese Proctor kind of inflation, maybe of like, hey, we saw what he could do against MSU Baylor as a freshman. Let's just naturally put the sophomore leap that's inevitably going to happen, and it just didn't quite happen. What do you think went wrong, or how do you compare kind of year one to year two?
Well, I think one thing is just the level of guard talent on last year's team was just higher than the year before, right? So a big thing for him was his minutes got cut from 25 a game to 14. So when you really dig into his numbers, it's not like his per minute production was any worse. In fact, it was better. So if per 40 as a freshman, he averages 12 points per game. Per 40 as a sophomore, he averages 14 per game. His assists are up, his rebounds are up per 40. So 2-point percentage is about the same. The 3-point percentage really dipped. So there is that. But that can be hard if you're not playing regularly to kind of get in any kind of rhythm. So yeah, for me, it was just like the fact that guys like Sion, specifically really him, but Sion, Khan, Tyrese, even Isaiah, they were all so good and they all fit what we were doing so well. I don't know, Shu, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was going to, I think it's more of a product of, Sion come in with 4 or 5 years of college experience already. He's a friggin' refrigerator for a body. I mean, the guy's a tank. And credit to Sion, he might not be the most athletic guy, not as highly recruited or regarded as Caleb was, but played his role, didn't really turn the ball over, knew what his strengths were, what his weaknesses were, didn't try to do too much, just kind of fit that perfect spot for us, especially with Coop kind of doing everything. And then obviously the emergence of Khan and Isaiah midway through the year, that, just, I won't say it was a confidence problem with Caleb, because I don't know that. I mean, he seems like a pretty confident kid every time I've ever talked to him. But, you get to a place like Duke, there's a lot of competition there, which, look, that's what John was looking for. And so, did it work out great for Caleb? It wasn't what we wanted from him, but the team overall still, benefited from that competition that kind of dealt us this hand, right?
I mean, I think like you're hitting it fit, which is just really important, especially like we look at these things individually year to year, right? Like he's going to take the big sophomore jump or the big sophomore to junior jump. But when the roster and the team shifts so much, because like what we needed from his freshman year was literally we needed someone to get us into our stuff. Like we need someone to flip the ball. Like he's not going to bring it up all the time until Jared really emerged late in the year. And then we're like, you know what, just give it to Jared now and let him just go ahead and initiate this thing. And it worked really well. But early on, we needed that kind of guy. Last year didn't need that guy. It's like, dude, we have 4 dudes that can take the ball and go right off the rim, coast to coast. Like you just really have to kind of find your spot in this. And I think to your credit, like, I mean, Sion just, I think was more ready for that role, or like knew how to play that role. Whereas Caleb might not have been, and now this year though, maybe it goes back to that kind of freshman type need of like, no, we need someone to get us at the floor, to get us into our stuff, and to kind of get Cam, Pat, these guys the ball, because those are your playmakers, right? Like your bigs are your playmakers. And so maybe that's more of a comfort area for Caleb, right? Like, hey, you're getting the ball, like you're bringing us up, you're getting us into our stuff. If there's a break, we're going to kind of maybe secondary break it. If not, I don't know, man. I just envision this being like a really good half court team. Like I just do. I think we can run, but like I think in the half court, like you just have like when your bigs can just play make out of the high post like that, both of them, it just lends itself to that a bit, man. I don't know.
And when you're really playing through the front court too, right? Like
sure, yeah.
That's going to be
the
team's
passing
strength.
that you have there, yeah.
Whereas last year that wasn't really the makeup of the team, right? It was like pretty guard heavy, and even Cooper tended to play from the perimeter,
play as a guard.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
So,
yeah.
And then Kaman's he's in there, but he's just a lob threat, right? And then Malik is not really a scorer. So, like you saw a little bit of how we might play this year when Gongbo was in the game. We kind of shift more to that style, but when you think about having three high post passers like Brown, Gongba, and Cam Boozer.
You literally don't have to change the offense for any. Like you just play that. You put a set for that, and then that's just it's just a moneymaker for you.
And maybe that'll help him out too. That he doesn't have to be like the real passer on this team, right? Because we'll get into Cayden, and Cayden's assist numbers look really good. We'll get into that in a minute, and then obviously with Cam being an excellent passer and those other two guys, like there's no reason that Caleb has to average 5 assists a game for the team to be good.
Right. Yeah. I know this is kind of random, but just to go back, you mentioned Coop briefly and playing as a guard. Did you see where Jason Kidd was like, "Hey, we want to make him really uncomfortable. I'm going to play him at point guard." It's like, did you not watch last year? I don't think he's going to be very uncomfortable. Either way, we'll go back to this. Is a
he might miss Duke spacing though.
Oh yeah, for sure. I know. Yeah. We'll see, man. But
I got some more stuff on him that like might be relevant here. Like there were some little improvements. So I mentioned the 2-point percentage being up. Defensive rating and defensive box plus minus were both up as well. So that's encouraging, right? I don't know what you guys thought, but especially towards the end of the year last year, I thought his defense really improved. Like over those last 10 games when he kind of came around. And he also started playing better on offense in that stretch too. So he was like 44% from 3 over those 10 games, like 47 or 48% from the field. Very low volume, but encouraging stuff. Another thing I saw that was like pretty encouraging was that he shot 38% on corner threes last year. That's not an amazing mark, but that's like 60th percentile or so. So it's like it's strong. So there's something to build on there, I think too. Like if he has to play off the ball a little bit. I don't know. You guys have seen like maybe some of that footage from the summer. I think his jumper looks a little bit better. I mean, I know it's very limited, right? We're seeing just like
the form looks a little different, right? Like because he had that like really his freshman year, he had that huge like floater 3, I guess was his like kind of shot. And it looks like he's maybe tightened it up. Like he didn't use much like guide hand at all on his 3. So we'll see. I know he's been flipping tires over there. I've seen that. Dude looks
strong.
He's definitely looking stronger, which I guess that gets into that like rim finishing and just needing to be more aggressive because he wants to drive, but it's like he needs to add something else to getting there, whether that's strength, just physicality to get up through it, or his handles are good. Like he's got really good handles. So just need to get to the lane. Man.
He had some of the toughest finishes last year.
He had some really, and if he plays with that energy and effort level, like defensively, I think like one of my favorite plays of the year is that or the UNC game, man, where he like dives and taps that ball out to Sion, then he gets the Euro. Like just doing stuff like that is what we need. And for me, it's also like, I don't want to like sound hard. Like he plays like a robot sometimes, man. Like it's so like mechanical, and it's like, dude, you weren't like that in high school. Just go play, man. Like just be loose and free, and like just to have that permission or something, like to give himself that permission to like, man, just go play ball, dude. Like go play ball. You look great in the pickup stuff. Like just go ball.
Yeah, I mean, remember John told us last year, like we kind of thought he might be one of our top 2 or 3 leading scorers, just from John's day at practice last year. It was incredible. So I mean, I know he can score it. He can score it. I wouldn't say his mid-range. We don't really see him take a lot of mid-range shots, but he can hit threes and he can get to the basket. He just got to do it in a more consistent.
And he can hit off dribble threes, man. Like that's a skill. Like he has that little kind of back step, step back. He's got a little bit of that.
To your point, Shu, he shot 67% on mid-range shots. I was surprised to see that.
Okay.
But he only took like 5 of them all year, right? So like he was just like all rim and threes. But what he really needs to work on is finishing at the rim. Like he's, despite getting to the rim a lot, like he's pretty high nationally in terms of like attempts at the rim, but he's only like finishing 50% there, which even for a guard is just not very good. You know, that's like 20th percentile or something. So that to me is a big area of improvement that he needs to work on. And then Josh, you already mentioned aggression.
Do you think, like, I know we've went like, do you think we've leaned maybe a bit too hard? Maybe we could ask John in a couple weeks, a little too hard into like the no middle offense. Like, do we need to incorporate a little bit more mid range in there? Like, is there value for the? Because, like, I mean, all of our guys are like literally just three and at the rim, right? Which is like what you want, but it's also like, I don't know, like I don't think we want like Coop fadeaway type. Not twos, like not so much
but
that,
you know,
but
if
like
you've
more
got a
that
good guard,
kind of stuff. Like I guess those were paint touches, really, but
Jeremy Roach. I mean, his senior year, you know,
that type of middies,
yeah,
yeah.
like we need a bucket, a 3-pointer. You know, they're going to be guarding you hard at the 3-point line. Maybe you're undersized, so getting to the rim isn't the best option. So if you can just beat your guy, get one or two, you know, dribbles by him, and then pull up from 15 feet, if you're good at it, then
I think we could use it this year, man. I think Dame is going to be a guy that could operate in the mid range a little bit like that. Cam could probably, you know, do a little pick and pop. You know, I don't know. It might be something that we just see return. Back into the offense. Not that we needed that last year, though. I don't think that team was built like that, but this one might.
I don't think it's ever going to be like, you know, a very heavy part of our offense at all. Because
30% of your shot, right? Yeah,
yeah. Listening to like Shire talk with Brad's, like they were like talking about that, like you know, what they want the shot profile to be, right? But I will say, to your point, there's like a big difference between like a 16 to 20 footer and like what Roach was taking, right? Which was like, you know, kind of right at the nail there.
Yeah.
And then like things like floaters and stuff too, they might technically count as mid-range shots, but to me, those are like good shots. Like if you see the big coming up and you're like, if I try to take it to the rim, I'm going to get blocked here.
Yeah. You see the drop, you pull the con or whatever, and or the Tyrese was kind of good at that too.
Like those 10-foot shots are,
I'm not saying like 20%, like or something. I'm saying like, but it could be instead of like a 3% shot for us, it could be more of like a 12%, 10% shot. You know,
because digging through every player earlier today, like it was really only Flag taking those shots.
Yeah,
he was like he had way more mid ranges. Like it was pretty much the whole team combined took the same amount of mid ranges as him.
Yeah, he was literally the only one. Which I mean, that team didn't really have a lot of guys that probably were very comfortable operating with it. Maybe Khan could have took more.
Probably,
but yeah, we'll see. And maybe Caleb really shouldn't think about that too much. But I really just think just playing loose and just needing to get out there, get some reps in. I think the roster complements him, so we'll see.
I do think a floater would help him though. Just
because of his he already has that touch from his three. It seems something
he already shoots one-handed. So
it seems something that he could definitely add to the bag, man. Yeah, the layup package is pretty nice when we've seen it. You know.
Yeah.
So he gets the strength. It'd be nice to see him kind of hammer one or two. If Khan can get up there, you can get up there.
Yeah. Come on. If Tyrese can dunk, right?
Yeah, they're the same height, right? So yeah. But all right, let's do a little bit. We kind of already got into it, I guess. I've kind of hinted at what I think it could be, but do you have a role that you envision for Caleb this season? I think I don't know if we want to go ahead and project starters here, but I think that's what I'm looking at. Is I'm projecting of like, hey, you're a junior, you're coming back. This is what you came back for. We see you working. I see the physicality. You see the strength getting added. The role I envision is starting point guard until maybe Cayden takes it from you if that's what happens, but I think he's going to get the first crack at it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's what he came back for. You know, obviously he's had the chance to leave 2 years in a row and he wants to be at Duke, and I want to see him succeed at Duke. So I think, you know, until somebody else comes and takes it from him, that's how we'll start the season.
And there's no reason he and Cayden couldn't kind of share point guard duties, right? You know,
they can play together at times, right? You can surely slide. I think Cayden could slide in and you drop Caleb down a little bit. You can bring him in forward, Caleb, either one.
Like maybe you could play, you know, Caleb at point guard for like 25 minutes or something, and then Cayden comes in and plays point guard for 15 minutes, and they overlap for like 5 of those minutes or something.
Sure. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. I think you're gonna want some more ball handlers on the floor when you have so many bigs too, right? Like, yeah, and I still don't know how much I buy into Sar as a ball handler. We'll see a little bit of that. Yeah. Most of what I've seen is just kind of like open floor stuff, or attacking a little closeout. I'm not saying he's bad, but I just haven't seen enough to know if you can have like real under pressure ball handling. So in those situations, I think you're just going to see Cayden and Caleb together.
Yeah.
Break a press late in games, things like that, especially if Cayden's a good free throw shooter, which we'll get into. But because Caleb, that's the point where you're like, 63% is 63%. I don't.
Well, maybe the change mechanics could help him out there too.
Yeah.
If they actually turn out to be a change in mechanics, but.
Yeah, there's a mental part of this, right? And I'm not saying that in a negative, like mental, like it's not that, but there is just a mental aspect of this that I think is creating a bit of that robotical response. Clearly it's just wanting to play well, wanting to do good. But so we'll see. All right, shoot. I think we were going to get into some over/under stuff. I intentionally said not to put these up there, so we're not really sure what you're going to throw at us here. But we'll see. You want to start us out here with Caleb Foster over under?
Yeah, since we just got into the free throw percentage, let's go over under 65% from the free throw line. Raul, what do you go with?
I'm pulling up his stats here. So what did he shoot as a freshman? 69%, right? So 63 is sophomore year. I'm going to say it's going to come back up. I'm going to be optimistic, and I'm going to say that he hits just over 70. I'm more like 71 this year. That we're going to see some real improvement.
Okay.
It's 65?
Yeah. I didn't realize. What'd you say his freshman was?
69.
69, yeah.
Perfect.
Nice. Yeah, if you would have said it at like 67, I might would have pushed under, man. But at 65, I'll go over slightly. But 70 would be a shock. Oh, not a shock, but I'd be happy, I guess, with 70, which is still not great. But
no, but it makes you like not a liability, right? Like you can't. At the end of a game, you're not going to foul a 70% free throw shooter because that's still 1.4 points per possession, right? So
sure, yeah.
All right, let me give you two more. We'll go with Josh first. Over under 2.5 assists per game for Caleb.
That is the number, 2.5. I'm gonna go under, man. Under, just barely though. I think that's the number. I think 2.5 is like where I think, just because of the way that we're gonna use the way I anticipate, just Cam, Malik, Pat doing so much just as creators. And I think Cayden's going to get in there too. So yeah, 2.5 seems right to me. I'll go slightly under, 2.4, 2.3.
Yeah, that's where I'm at as well. Because he was at 2.1 as a freshman and he was playing 25 minutes then. So I figure, let's say he bumps up to more like 30 minutes this year, optimistically. Yeah. 2.4, 2.5. I figure this is going to be a team where you're going to have like 5 guys in that 2 to 4 assist range. So I think it's going to be kind of spread across the board.
All right. So for the final one, let's do over under 9.5 points per game. Whoever wants to go first with that one.
I will take the over on that. I think I will take the over on that. Just because I think the minutes, the way the roster is, man, he's just gonna have to play. Like we're gonna depend on him to be there. And it might not be a 20-point per game guy, but I think we're going to be needing 10 to 12, 13. 10 to 12. Like that, that's about what I would hope for. You get to 15 to 16, and that's a hell of a year, for me.
Yeah, sorry to be boring and go the same route as Josh every time, but I'm gonna have to go over to. I'm looking at it more from the sense of like, there's just not a lot of like bona fide proven scorers on the team right now, right? So like, I think Cam's he's gonna be up there 17 to 20 points per game. I think you can just kind of bank on that. Isaiah hopefully we'll get to him, but hopefully he'd be a big scorer for us. But then after that, what are you looking at, really?
I think it's Pat, man. For me, I don't know,
Pat,
man. I'm big on the
yeah.
two bigs, man. I think the two bigs are going to just feast, which we'll see. I
But
guess
just like
Dominic,
where's there's not a lot of backcourt scoring there. I just think there's an opportunity for Caleb to really, up his scoring.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying he's not going to score 15 a game. It's going to be if he is over 9, it's going to be like 11 or something.
I mean, he's going to be one of two upperclassmen. It'll be him and Malik.
Yep.
So we're going to lean on him. And what did Jeremy average his junior and senior year? Around that 13, 14 mark.
Yeah.
So I think that's something. That's kind of what I measure for Caleb. Knock down a 3 or 2. Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, what did Tyrese average last year? Like 12 or something?
Yeah, exactly. 12, somewhere in there.
Be solid, adapt, maybe blend more from the expectation and into the role, like Tyrese did a little bit, right? Like get out of the expectation of the sophomore year and just get into the role your junior year. That helps a lot of guys, and then the role can be bigger for you. It can be bigger for you, but we got to just stop doing the whole like. This is Nolan Smith as a junior. It's like, yeah, man, that's not the sophomore or junior jump that every kid takes, dude. It's just not. Maybe I hope so. That'd be awesome.
And also,
but that's a lot of pressure.
He's starting from a lower baseline than Nolan. Like Nolan, those first 2 years was not bad at all, right? Like in our memory, it seems like he was because he became a 17-point per game scorer. But when
he got a concussion as a sophomore, right?
Exactly.
That really kind of just messed it up for a little bit there. But he still had that massive dunk against Southern Illinois, dude. I still remember that, dude.
And he was still kind of in that 9-point per game range. And like freshman year, he shot really well as well. Sophomore year, he did take a little bit of a step back. So I think that's why people make the comparison, right? But it still wasn't as big.
Guards too. We had so many guards those 2 years, man. We had like Paulus and Gerald, John. Like there's just a ton of guards. David was on that squad.
Elliot
Williams
was
dropping a bunch of first names since we like to do that, right? So was that it for the over-unders? I know we got sidetracked.
For Caleb,
for Caleb. All right, I got one more, and I just kind of pulled this out of the hat. I was watching, I think Zion on Twitter shared it, but it come from the NBA page where they were asking all of the draft people, like all of the draftees, like if you could get a skill from somebody else, like who would you take? Kamon kind of cheated and took one of everybody's from Duke, which shout out to Kamon for doing that. But like Coop was like, I'll take con shooting. Right. So we're going to do a little bit of that here, except we're going to keep it. I was kind of debating. I think I'm going to keep it just within this group. Right. So you can only take a skill from this group, but you got to be very specific. So you couldn't just say Slim shooting. You have to say you want Slim's like volume. You have to say you want Slim's percentage. You have to be very specific with it because it'd be too easy, right? Like, hey, give me everything that Slim has in this package. But if you could take one specific skill from Cayden or Slim and give it to Caleb for next year, what would it be and why?
I'll let Raul go first.
I think I would give Caleb Cayden's passing because I think if he is going to be playing a lot of point guard, that's going to be very useful. And I also think it would open up the floor for him. I've talked about this in the past. Like part of the problem when he gets in the lane, I think, is he just becomes very one track, right? And if he would like leave his options more open, like where he would know, okay, there's a guy in the corner I can kick to. There's the lob threat here. But if the big doesn't, if the big comes up, I'll hit him on the lob. But if he drops back, then I'm going to go for the layup. But if somebody else comes to double, I'm going to kick to the corner, right? Like that just means that it makes you more efficient if you're able to kind of survey that stuff and figure that stuff out. And I think a lot of his problem was he just would get that tunnel vision. He would just try to finish no matter what.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like that. Yeah.
So we're just taking it from the other two that are in this.
Yeah, just from Cayden or
Isaiah. So even though I know I said earlier that I didn't think that the problem with Caleb last year was confidence, what we did talk about was, sometimes how he wasn't. It's like he played more of a management role because he was worried about making a mistake or something. So if I could give him anything, it'd be Isaiah's confidence. I mean, Isaiah comes in and I really like letting it rip regardless what happens next. I'm taking my shot. So
that's a good one. I do like that. Because mine is really, it's not that, but it's the reasoning is that basically. So I'm taking Slim's free throw percentage. Give me Caleb Foster at 80+% from the line, right? I think Slim was 81% last year. Give me that, and then that probably opens up the driving because maybe he's a little shaky, doesn't want to go to the line if you're going 1 of 2 every time. So yeah, give me, and I think that makes you more confident, right?
Sure.
If you're like, hey, foul me, bro, put me on the line. Like I want these. I know Tyrese said that, but too soon, too soon. So give me the free throw percentage from Slim to Caleb, and we've created a monster, folks. So anything else y'all want to hit on with Steve Foss before we get out of here? Good pod with him and Malik, by the way. Shouts to
yeah. It's cool to see him back doing the podcast. It's just cool to see him back, obviously. So I think we've already talked about that when he announced he was going to return.
Yeah, a lot of respect for him for doing that, right? For being willing to do that. I guess let's, I know this was a little bit later, but I'm going to go ahead and do it now since we're about 30 minutes in here. So for our audio only folks, we're going to take just a quick little 3-second break here. Little ad break for the folks down there listening. If you're on YouTube, just banter with us for a second here. All right, let's get into this. So let's transfer over to Cayden. I know we've talked about him briefly here. Twin of Cam, son of Carlos here. 6'4", 205, coming in as the point guard here. Number 23 in the composite, number 4 point guard in his class. Big kind of recruiting battle here for a long time. It really kind of shifted away from Duke. I don't know if y'all remember that or not. There was a lot of Miami buzz talking, man. And if Jay would have got the job a year sooner, man, I don't know. This could have been a different recruitment. We'll never know. We'll see. But either way, I think it's maybe like one of my most excited players in the class for me. I'm really high on Cayden. I really like what he brings. Just a clutch guy, winner, him and Cam both, but just a winner, pure point guard, average 14 and 7 assists, 4 rebounds, 1.3 steals. For his high school season here. I don't know like what the expectations really are. I think they're all over the place here. I think most of us are looking for Caleb to kind of take the reins and Cayden to maybe be a 2-year guy or something of that nature. I've heard some kind of like mix between like maybe a little bit of Trey, maybe a little bit of Tyus, a little bit of that in his game. What are your expectations for Cayden kind of coming in as a freshman?
Yeah, for me, I mean, I think you kind of hit on it. Like he's a more pure point guard that we've been getting a lot of combo guards, a lot of those, with Roach, Stewart, guys like that can do a little bit of either or, but not one super great, I guess. Where it seems like, and again, I'll full admit, I haven't seen a lot of Cayden, but from everything I read, like he's a floor general, a Bobby Hurley, Trey Jones, Tyus Jones, that kind of sense of a point guard. So it's nice to have that, especially in your back pocket. We don't know. Caleb's been a little bit of a combo guard. So can he hold on to being the point guard? Does Cayden come in and kind of take it over and maybe just move Caleb to the 2, kind of, a la
are we asking the wrong question?
Shire and Nolan, right? Like, so I don't know what my expectations for. I don't think I don't expect him to come in and, be first team all ACC or anything, but just be a solid contributor to the team and, bring that winning pedigree that he's always had.
I think Trey Jones is a good point of comparison for me because I thought Trey had a really good freshman year, but obviously the shooting was an issue, right? And he wasn't a big scorer, but he was able to defend really well and he made great decisions. He was great with outlet passes. He could set up guys like Zion and RJ, and our offense ran very well overall, but there were still some warts there, right? And so I think that's kind of the thing you're going to see with Cayden. But I will say, like, Duke hasn't had a real point guard since Trey, right? Like since 2020. So you think about that, that's like, 5 seasons essentially, unless you want to call like Roach a point guard or something. But, I feel like Duke's maybe been operating at a little bit of a disadvantage in certain situations because of that. Like I thought last year, especially like Duke, so we were winning like so many games by 25 points. So there was not a lot of like pressure down the stretch and like you didn't need that good decision making, but we did see in the few games that were close, we couldn't pull them out. And I think part of that was probably like not having that kind of like heady decision maker floor general. Like how good were we in the clutch when we had Tyus, right? Like,
yeah, man.
because he just knew exactly what to do and he could
And
just read
Trey.
it. Yeah.
And
Trey as well.
Trey,
Yeah.
man. Like Cam hits the shot, but I mean Trey passes it to him.
Yeah.
You know, he makes the
Exactly.
read. Like it's
Or
man.
think about the
UNC.
UNC. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah. Dude, you miss that so much. Just that ability to just want the ball and know what to do, because then that allows you to do what we've talked about for a while, is the ability to run your offense when you need to run offense. Like when it's in the same clutch situations, to be able to like, no, this is our guy. He's going to make the read. He can pull it. Now you need to be able to kind of come off a curl or come off a high screen, high ball screen, and pull up and hit a shot. You need to be able to do that. But I think he can, man.
I mean, just think
if
if
game
you,
winners. I mean, I've watched him in a game winner, like what? Not even like 6 months ago, whenever it was, like a couple months ago.
I mean, just think if you could have subbed Trey or Tyus in the final 2 minutes of the Houston game.
Yeah.
Like,
oh God, yeah.
Yeah. Because I mean, too many times the offense devolved into this very static, okay, Cooper's going to catch at the top of the key and then he's going to try to drive against a set defense. And I think that if like we could just been a little bit more unpredictable and just, like you said, run our, kind of more fluid offense. I'm thinking about like, this is way back, but the game at UNC in 2004 with Duhan, right? The read there to just take it all the way down the court and get a reverse layup.
Yep.
There were still like 7 seconds left on the clock there, right? Like this last year's Duke team would have totally brought it down the court, taken a timeout, and then like been trying to get something against a set defense. But he just saw an opening and he just went for it.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. And just needing to, you can't really coach that. Like that's just a feel thing, right? Like needing guys with feel. And I think Cayden's definitely the next one in that line, in that pedigree, man. I guess we can talk about role. I think the role is pretty clear here, unless you're just seeing it like, I could see some games where he starts, but I think the role is probably 15 to 20 minutes and just being that steady Eddie, right? Just coming in, being able to take the ball, get us into our sets, get us into our stuff, attacking a set defense if needed. I mean, that's the role, right? Is there anything like playing good defense would be nice? That'd be an added bonus. That's probably what's going to get him on the floor,
Yeah, making great passes, right? It's you mentioned that he averaged, 7 assists per game in high school last year, but that's just kind of across the board, like every season that he's been in high school. In FIBA, he led all of FIBA with 6.4 assists at U17 last summer. AAU, he was up at, above 6 assists as well. Only 1.8 turnovers for this last season. So that's really awesome to me. Like, 7 assists to less than 2 turnover ratio there. That's like, if you have somebody like that running your offense, that just automatically creates good offense.
Yeah. And if he's the key to unlocking your best player, then that changes the dynamic here, right? Like, because I mean, Cam's Cam, like he's great, but they play together since always.
They're obviously going to have great chemistry, right?
If that really just unlocks what you're going to do on offense, then maybe to Shu's point, we were asking the wrong question, and it's not a Cayden competing with Caleb. It's Caleb competing with Slim, and Dame is like, hey, who's going to be these other two wing guys if he emerges as, hey man, we're going with this, and whatever, we'll see. I don't think that would happen until January, February. Our schedule is going to require some experience, some just toughness. Like this is a big boy schedule, fellas. Like this is a big time schedule. But if there's a point, kind of January, February, that it just continues to kind of matriculate and develop there, like I could see him starting some games, man. I could see him starting some games. So.
Or if we drop some games early that we really shouldn't or something.
Right.
You could see
or somebody gets hurt,
Yeah.
Knock on wood, man. But if an injury pops up or just something happens, we'll see.
I can really see it being between Caleb and Dame. And I know that's a little bit weird because Dame is like probably the closest thing Duke has to a wing this year. But Isaiah offers so much shooting that I just don't think you're going to get that anywhere else, right? So, like, I don't really see how you take him out. But I could totally see Caleb, Cayden, and, and Isaiah, for example, like working just fine, right? Like, maybe that'd be a little bit, too weak defensively. I'm not sure, but
yeah, it depends on how good Cam is defensively, right?
Yeah.
Like what we're going to get from that. We know what we're going to get from Pat, but even then, there's some limitation there on that end. And so, but then that's where Malik is just that card that you can always punch. So, all right, let's talk a little bit about kind of strengths. We talked about that, I guess. Is there a concern for y'all? I guess, it's got to just be the shooting a little bit, right? Maybe not so much of a concern, but like, can you be a decent volume and a decent percentage 3-point shooter? Because that the volume just hasn't been there. It just hasn't. And so, in this modern game, what's that going to look like? We're going to need our guard to be taking, more than 1 or 2 a game. You're going to be probably 4 or 5. I mean, Slim might take 10, so
yeah.
I mean, to me, that's just the biggest thing there is, what does the shooting look like at this level?
I mean, just look at what it did for our team down the road with a guard that, really good pure point guard, but could be put on an island at the 3-point line, right? Like, it wasn't going to really hurt you from there.
And then now you're in Michigan. Like, hey, life comes at you quick, man. I don't know. You got to be able to shoot.
Yeah, you saw that clip where, like, I forget who they were playing, like Florida State or something, and the defenders like
Elliott Williams, 8 feet behind them. Like, go ahead.
Yeah. Same thing happened to Duke, in 2019, right? When they played UCF.
We watched
round.
We were right? I watched Taco Fall guard him from the rim, bro, and just straight up like from the rim.
Brilliant move by Dawkins, but very frustrating to watch it.
Yeah, because there's no other answer. There's nothing else we could do.
I mean, to your point, it's hard to find like great high school stats. I don't know how much I believe in like the stuff that's on Max Preps and stuff, but his percentages like are actually pretty good in high school. But only averaging like, 2.4 attempts per game. So does that really matter? Like, let's say you go through an entire high school season and you shoot 45% from 3. That sounds awesome, right? But like, if those are just 2 wide open catch and shoot corner jumpers a game, is that doing anything? Defenders are still going to play off you, right? So,
right, and that's the area. Like, I think he's going to be great for us. But like as a freshman next year, it's like, are you closer to like freshman, sophomore, like Tyler Thornton and Wojo, or are you closer to freshman, sophomore Tyus Trey? Like, and that's a just different conversation, right? Those are 2 different types of players, but based on just body size, like, right, that he fits that more. I mean, to have Tower on staff the year Cayden comes in is huge. Like, that's going to be because if he is a bulldog defensively, like that's going to change things, man. Like, if he can be that type of like not Wojo-esque, but like Thornton-esque with more of an offensive package, then maybe, man. Maybe I think he's going to be good. We'll see how long.
You want to talk about somebody improving his jumper. Look at Tyler, right?
Yeah.
He was shooting damn near 45% as a senior.
Yeah, and
he came in as a non-shooter.
Brads and stuff over there too, man. Like, I'm just saying, it's there. I think he's going to bring a ton of competition to that spot, like, to that just dynamic in practice, like who he is and like, just the pedigree. But, whatever. We can go on to some over-unders, Shu, if you're ready.
All right. Well, I mean, obviously he averaged, 7 assists or more throughout his high school career. Not knowing what his minutes per game, I want to put an over-under 3.5 assists per game for Cayden.
Ooh.
Smitty.
3.5. I'll go. I'll go under. Just barely though. I think 3.3, 3.4. Depends on how much he really does pop and play. But I think the minutes that he gets, he's gonna pick up some, man. He could get over playing like 12 or 15 minutes potentially. But like, I don't know. We just don't see that assist rate a ton at Duke anymore, man. Not from one player.
Yeah. For sure. Like, I've talked about that. Like, rarely do you see a guy get over 5 assists, even if they're playing like 33 minutes a game. So we just don't have those kind of
6 or
right around 6
something. He was right in there. Yeah. So,
Yeah, just that's not really the way Duke tends to run their offense anymore. It's, we haven't really seen that since, Duhan and Jay Will. Um, and we've never had a guy like, sorry, I'm completely blanking on his name, UNC player who averaged like 10 assists.
Kendall Marshall.
Kendall Marshall.
Yeah, Marshall. I mean, Hurley's the closest thing we've ever.
Yeah, exactly.
We've only had. It was just Bobby, and that was really it in terms of just that.
So, but I will go over. I'll go like maybe 4.1. I'm thinking.
Okay, nice.
Just because I'm optimistic on him getting up to that 25-minute range eventually, one way or another.
Okay.
So
yeah, sweet, yeah, nice.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the caveat, right? Like, we just don't know what his minutes per game is going to be right now. So,
but when he plays, man, he's got to have the ball. When he's on the floor, he's got to have the ball, man.
Yeah. Well, let's kind of something we've hinted at. How about over under 6.5 games started?
Ooh.
7 games. 6.5, 7 games.
I'll go over.
Well, go over?
Yeah, I'm going to go over because I think we're going to play Foldy.
Nice. I'll go over, and I just think it's because I think the lineups are going to switch a lot.
Okay.
Like, I don't think we're going to really have like some stable, okay, this is their starting lineup, and it's just that way all year, right?
Yeah.
So I think sometimes you'll see Cayden, Caleb, and Isaiah. Sometimes you'll see Cayden, Caleb, and Sar. Sometimes you'll see Cayden, Sar, and Evans or whatever, right? There'll just be a bunch of different combinations.
Okay.
Maybe Darren. Who knows?
Yeah.
Well, who knows where this thing goes? Yeah.
All right, last one for Cayden. Over under 35% 3-point shooting. Yes, I didn't qualify the attempts because I don't really know how many attempts.
Yeah, I'm gonna go under, man. I hate to do that, but I'm gonna go under. I think 35 is probably a good number. 38, I would be ecstatic about, but I'm probably gonna say somewhere between like 33, 34 would probably be my. Freshmen just tend to you see that a lot, even with good shooters. You see a Kennard come in and just not be able to hit, and it just happens. But if it's above 30, if it's 38, I'm thrilled.
Yeah. I'll just to be different, I'll go over, but I'm talking like 35.1, right? It's not going to be much over, right? I don't have them at like 37, 38% or anything like.
The old extra dollar bid.
Yeah, it's like
1 cent me, huh? All right.
Yeah. All right. But if you told me he was 30% for the year, it wouldn't surprise me at all. It'd be disappointing, but yeah, I don't know.
Raul hit me with the prices right over there. All
right. I don't know. You guys have seen the form. It's not great, right? So
yeah, there's some questions there. Yeah. So yeah, was that the last one, or did you have one more?
Yeah, that was it for
okay. All right. Yeah. Let's do some skill swaps for Cayden here. So you got to be specific. One skill from either Slim or Caleb to give Cayden for this year.
I guess. Do you want me to go first?
You can.
I mean, I think this one would be obvious, right? Would it be Slim's 3-point shooting? Maybe not quite as 3-point shooting.
You got to be more specific. You getting his volume, or are you taking his percentage?
Yeah, I would say percentage. I don't think we need Cayden taking
9.
9, yeah.
Especially not if you don't give him his percentage, right? So he's taking 9, but he's shooting he's shooting 30% on 9 attempts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't think I can pick anything different, unfortunately. Just like having him
percentage.
Having him shoot 41% would make him an amazing player, right? Like that probably just fix any question marks.
What's more infuriating? 30% on 9 attempts or 41% on like 1.7 attempts? Or whatever he shot in high school, right? Like 2 attempts a game or something. Yeah. Well, so that's what makes it hard, because if you could give him the volume and that, then that's just a cheat code, probably, right?
And I can't give him like any physical attribute, right? I can't like make him
taller,
Slim's
6'6".
height.
Yeah, I think I would. Yeah, Slim's an easy one. Just to be a little different though, man, I would give him, and I need to look at his more, because maybe he has more of a package than I've seen in that regard. But I'd like to give him maybe Caleb's handles, man. Just to give him like a nice little shake and bake, like get downhill, give him a little bit of burst. Just to be.
Does he talk trash? Can we give him Isaiah's
Just
chatter?
Slim's mouth? Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be good. Yeah, that'd be a good one. Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. I guess we can get into it, fellas. So let's do the man of the hour here. Slim himself coming back for the sophomore year. One of the biggest probably returners we've had in a while in terms of just excitement, buzz, and the canvas is just all over the place for him, right? Like there's just really, really hard for me to kind of ping it of where this thing's going to go. I'm excited to see where it's going to go, but I just think there's a lot of variance and range that's going on here that could be in play. So, Slim comes back after a little bit of kind of, not that he played the market, but there was a lot of rumors out there. The bags were getting tossed. He was going out for the kind of NBA camp there for a little bit, and ends up solidifying the decision, comes back. We all probably know what happened in the Auburn game. That was his kind of welcome to Duke moment. Comes in, hits 6 threes and a half, and just kind of explodes, man. Explodes right onto the scene. And that was kind of the story for most of the year. Now, we did see some progression in his game. We saw him start to do a little bit of on dribble stuff, coming off curls. We saw a little bit of passing there. Really saw him commit defensively down the stretch a little bit. But last year ends up finishing around almost 7 points per game. Splits look great, though. 43 from the field, 41 from three, 81 at the line. The volume was pretty high. So he was coming in and he was a flamethrower. We'll talk about it. I'm sure some of the improvements here are probably going to be maybe just like either, shot balance, shot charting a little bit of shot awareness here. I don't know, man. Y'all can take this wherever you want. Where do you see this thing kind of coming in for Slim?
To me, I think he just showcased a little bit more of his abilities. I don't think he's just a catch and shoot or just a shooter. I think he can do more. I mean, he's got the frame. He's got he's got a lot of length to him. Can he beef up? I hope he's working in the weight room to get a little stock here. And I don't want him to throw off his shot, but you don't want to get pushed around a lot. He did do a pretty good job, I thought, last year of getting rebounds. Fighting for boards. But to me, it's just kind of showcasing a little bit more than just being a shooter, because I think he can do a little bit more than that.
Yeah, I mean, his game was just pretty one-dimensional when you get right down to it. Right now, it was a great dimension. Again, you're shooting 42% on threes, and you're doing it on like pretty historic volume, like best volume we've ever seen at Duke. Now, obviously, that's in limited minutes, so there's a caveat there. But and then just looking historically, like I have to credit Brian Geisinger for some of this stuff, because he wrote a fantastic article that everybody should check out at Splitting the Action. About Isaiah's freshman year and where he can improve and all that. But so 81% of his shots came from 3-point range. That's like the 97th percentile nationally.
It's crazy. Yeah.
12 3-point attempts for 40 minutes, 18 per 100 possessions, which is the second highest rate among high major players. Only behind one guy, right? Gabe Madsen at Utah. But the difference was Madsen shot 32%. And obviously, Slim was a lot better than that, right? So, he just didn't take a lot of shots at the rim. He was only taking like 2.7 per 40 minutes, 17th percentile nationally. He only drew 11 shooting fouls all year. Like, just pretty crazy low, right?
Wow. Yeah.
So, very low free throw rate, low 2-point attempt rate, low assist rate as well. So really all he was doing out there was moving off the ball, catching and shooting, right?
What was the guy that played for Oakland when they beat, was it Jack Golke or something like that?
Yeah,
Golke. He'd shoot like 10 threes a game or maybe even more than that. But I mean, that's all he was shooting. Like, I think he had like 200 threes attempted for the season and like 4 shots inside the
right.
It was something crazy.
And it's not like Evans was even like creating a lot of these threes off the dribble or anything either. So like he only had 14 unassisted field goals all year. 82% of his makes were assisted. 90% of his 3-pointers were assisted, right? So like it's not like you can even like point to, oh, well, he was, dribbling into pull-up 3-pointers. No, he was just coming off screens, catching great passes, and letting it fly.
Yeah.
And so his role was very, exactly. And then that kind of floppy action or whatever as well. But so it was just kind of, his role was very streamlined and simplified. Now it's like we've seen him in high school where that's not the way he played. So can he expand and kind of diversify? That would be my question.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest question, right? Of like, what are we going to get? Because you're right. Last year, he was a sniper, man, in a flamethrower suit, right? Like he would just come in and that was the job. You're coming in, and it was. I think we compared it a little bit to like the Andre Dawkins role, right? You come in, if you're hot, just keep going, and you might get 20 and a half, and we're just going to feed it. But it's all off like it's predicated off what other people are doing. That was the one thing even with Dre, right? Where there wasn't a whole lot of like self-creation on ball or getting the ability to make your own shot. No, I think Slim's got more to that. We've seen a lot more than that in his high school game. So, here's hoping a little bit. And even later in the year, man, we did see a little bit of like him kind of coming off some of those floppies and being able to hit for the lob or continue the curl out. We also saw him get obliterated at the rim a couple of times too, right? Or just going up and losing it or just not having nowhere near the strength needed. So there's some stuff there too. But the role here, what do you see for this? Because you're going to have to get more. Like you can't just put him in there. I don't know, maybe you could, but like at 30 minutes and just have the same exact role, right? So are y'all seeing that happen? And then to what extent do you think you're going to see Slim with the ball in his hands?
Yeah, I think we're going to see more playmaking out of him. I think he's going to be
right?
Still look to come off and, firing off of a curl or something. But, maybe you catch that, you pump fake, you get into the lane and, you're still posing the threat and you got an easy drop off to Cayden Boozer. So I want to see more from him and I guess all around than just being a shooter. Like you said, I think playing that many minutes, you kind of have to. You have to be able to do more than that. Step into Khan's role, essentially. What Khan was doing for it. Khan could shoot a handful of threes a night, or tonight's not the night that we need that. Maybe I just use my shooting gravity to get shots for Pat and for Cam down low.
Well, I'm thinking about the way like JJ's game developed, because when you look at the numbers, like he is basically the best shooter since JJ that we've had. Now we'll see if that continues, but if you think about JJ, it's not like he suddenly started shaking and baking on the perimeter, right? But what he did do was he like developed more like, okay, when I catch, I'm going to curl into the lane and get all the way to the rim. Or I'm going to like come, pull up for like a floater or something. Like he just slowly added little pieces to the game, right? Like I don't think we need Isaiah out there like dancing for 10 seconds and then pulling up for a mid-range shot. Like I still like the idea of his game being streamlined because I don't want like some of the bad habits from high school to come back. But I think he needs to figure out a way to just like, attack closeouts, catch on the curl, and just like, instead of just stopping and popping at the 3-point line, like just keep going right into the lane, that kind of thing. So
I guess I'm just going to pretend like Raul didn't just admit that, we had Justin Robinson for 3 or 4 years. I know JJ's a good shooter and all, but I mean, just to completely wipe off.
Sure. Well, Justin Robinson was the banked 3-pointer GOAT, right?
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, the dead threes. Yeah, just the dead threes in the night, or just cocoon. I think one thing I would like to see is him using, and you kind of talked about it, like what Khan was able to do, like being an off-ball creator, which kind of sounds weird, but still using your gravity, or when you're cutting hard to free other guys up, right? To decoy other, or even being able to like okay, when you cut and you catch, can you still make the next pass if it's not you, right? Instead of just firing up the shot or just getting kind of clobbered in the lane. Like if you're cutting off two bigs in the high post, man, look to kick right back out to Cam. Like just put it right back out there if that's not there. So some of the off-ball stuff, would continue to be kind of a nice addition here. I don't expect him to just automatically just be like, all right, you're Brandon Ingram right now, and we're just going to run the offense three.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. I don't think that's that's going to benefit him or the team. But certainly it's going to have to, diversify a little bit.
And he's so good at moving off ball that you don't want to take that away. You know what I mean? You don't want to put the ball in his hand so much that you lose his off ball gravity, right?
Because then what are you doing? Just Cayden and Caleb just standing over there? Like, no.
Right, yeah.
Him be standing over there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, there were some plays that like Brian highlighted that I really liked where like he would, catch the ball, the shot wasn't there, he'd pass it, and then he'd immediately relocate, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's like what he has to do more. Like, I don't need like necessarily like flashy passes that are going to result in dunks or anything. I don't think that's really his bag, right? But just like get off the ball, relocate, that kind of thing.
Yeah, playing through the first action, right? Like you got to play through that and into the second and the third.
Instead of just thinking you need to get a shot up. Yeah.
Right. Or just that, they shut that down. And we just like John's even called that out a little bit, right? Like in the first half, he's like, dude, you're going to have to work to get open, not just to swim, but like y'all are going to have to move. Like they're going to shut down your first and second stuff. You got to keep playing. So yeah, a little bit more of that. But all right. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say one thing I did like also reading through Brian's article was he pointed out several places where Isaiah set really good screens. And I think that's encouraging. Like, because not all guards are willing to do that, right? Like he'd come up and set a screen for Khan in order so that Khan could get open and catch it and pass it back to him, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think there's a lot to work. There was enough flashes there throughout the year of like more stuff in his bag that I think it's, fans can be encouraged that he's not just one dimensional.
Yeah. Yeah. And it also helps too when you have like, you're going to have a lot of like passing ability on the floor. Like if you have Cayden or Caleb out there with Cam and with Malik or with Pat, like that's just a ton.
The handoffs, man, the handoffs.
The DHOs and those slips, man, it's going to be there, dude. It's going to be there. But all right, Shu, you want to get us into these over-unders and then we'll get ready to get out of here.
Yeah. All right, let's go. This one I want it to be, I don't know if I said it enough, but let's go over and under 6.5 3-point attempts per game for Isaiah. Let's go Raul first.
I'm going
Just
over
attempts.
Yeah, I'm going over. I'm going like 8. I think he's gonna get him up there.
Yeah.
He was at like 4 and only like 15 minutes last year. So
yeah, that's why I don't think I said it high enough. Probably should have said 7.5.
I'm gonna go over to 7.5 probably would have been that because I'm gonna go over because I think 7 to 8 somewhere in that range is about what I'm hoping for. I'd be cool with 9. 10.
I mean, he got 9. I was looking through his log. He got 9 up a handful of times. He got 13 up against I think it was Florida State, which
I love
he
that,
only hit 4, but he got 13 up maybe.
Yeah, get him up.
I mean,
can't make
when you're winning by 25, like who gives a shit, right?
Yeah, that's true.
All right, so over for both of you guys. All right, let's go with over under 2.5 rebounds per game. Because he's got the frame.
That's tougher for me.
That is tough. 2.5. Yeah, I'll go under, man. I think I'm gonna go under. It'd be nice to get him right around. It'd be nice to get around 2 or 3, but we're gonna play some 2 bigs, probably, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel if Cam's gonna eat up.
Yeah, Dame seems like he'd be a guy that could kind of crash too.
I think so. And even like Cayden, because I know he's small, but like a lot of really good point guards are surprisingly good on the boards. Yeah.
Pius really was.
Pius and Trey, both. Yeah.
I'll go over. I think he's gonna bring down about 3 rebounds.
Okay.
It's just mostly because of the minutes I think he's going to play. I'm hoping he's around 30 a game.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So then I guess the $1 million question, over under 15 points per game for Isaiah.
That's a perfect line for me.
That is a perfect number.
Thanks.
Why not? I'm going over. It's a slim show. Let's do it. Let's do it. I saw where Shady just repressed the Marshall Mathers LP too. So hey, let's slim it up.
Nice.
Let's slim it up.
Just under for me. Go like 14.5 kind of range, sort of. I don't know. I figure if Caleb's going to average around 11, we probably got Pat up around 13 or so. Cam's going to be 18. I figure Cayden might get in, 5 to 7 there. So we might just have like Cam up there near 20 and then a lot of guys in that like 10 to 14 range is what I'm thinking.
Feels like that's what we say every year. We always have that one guy that we know is going to be there, and then 3 or 4 guys just kind of
and that's what you want, really, I guess.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
Yeah, but then like either somebody like radically disappoints and then somebody else has to pick up the slack, or
or it gets dispersed out even more, and then it's like I'm here for it, man. I'm ready for like Slim Chickens to just set up like a tent outside Cameron next year, basically, right? Like let's get this thing going.
I would love it if it was just like Cam and Slim at like 18 a game each.
Like I want the awesome. JJ Sheldon like 20 or 2006. Just I think he was at like what 20. Was he like 26 or 28 a game?
Yeah,
but like Sheldon's right there, like 18 or 19 a game with him. So it's like, I'm trying to get some cooking.
It's probably good to have it spread out a little bit more than that team though, because they were like way too top heavy.
Yeah. And I think it just has to be with the nature of this, but it'd be fun to have a couple of those games where they're both just going off for 20, 25, 30, something like that.
Well, here's an interesting one. I don't have an over under set for it, but let's just pick it off the top of my head. 1.5 games with Slim scoring over 30 points.
Oh.
Oh yeah, he's 30 piecing at least twice next year.
Yeah.
All right. So you're going over?
Yeah. I mean, he should have done it twice this year. I mean,
yeah.
He's just like he scored like 20
first half and then
like nothing.
Just like,
yeah.
All right, I'm good. Yeah.
Yeah. 1.5. Oh, that's a good one. I want to go over, but I'll go under. Yeah. No, I'll go over 2. I'll go over 12.
All right.
Why not?
Maybe I should have said it at 2.5. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the real one. The third time is like.
Yeah, I don't think he's getting 3. I think 2 is that's what he's getting. If I had to pick,
I'd like to see him get him against the same team too.
Yep. Especially since he didn't have a big game against them last year.
Like,
weirdly, I thought he was going to go off against USC.
I know. So if we play him a third time, then
how about over under 30 points against Miami?
Oh, they're not playing in Miami.
We might play him we could play him in the ACC tournament.
Sure, I guess so. Yeah.
That'd be funny.
Yeah. They got to make it there, but sure.
Yeah, well, and then Sheldon Henderson's going to lock him up and we're lose the game or something.
Yeah. Now we'll win, but it'd be like 56 to 49 or just something gross will happen. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's do the last round of skill swaps, and then we'll get out of here. So what are you giving Slim?
Raul,
from Caleb or Cayden?
I mean, I know what it'd be for me, so.
Yeah. You can get kind of weird here, because what if you were just like, I'll give him like Cayden's pure point guard, just instinct.
I mean, I was just going to say vision.
Weapon.
Court
vision.
Court vision, like that's what I would go with.
Yeah. Ability to read the floor.
Instincts and court
awareness
vision,
maybe goes to that, I guess. Maybe awareness is just a shot awareness.
Yeah. Honestly, like was so happy with this freshman season, like that it's hard to like even be like, oh, he needs to do this to be successful, because he was already successful, right? Like,
I was literally going to cheat and just say like, I'm just going to give him his own skill of 41% from 3 again, and then just like if you can shoot as many, as you
and
can
do it in 30 minutes, right?
Yeah, as many as you can get up at 41%.
I think having Caleb's ability to get into the lane would be nice for him. So I know you already said that for, I think.
I know,
one of
but
the
I was
earlier
already
ones, but
thinking that like
yeah,
that's the answer for Slim though, is the
yeah,
handles, right? Because there were some times where man he had that like almost like a carry, right? Because the ball just comes up to like chest high
yeah.
sometimes as he's dribbling. It's like, all right, man, we gotta be able to
And
keep
when he
that.
did get to the rim, it's that straight line drive, right? Like that's all he can really do there. So I'd
Yeah.
like to see him have a little bit more wiggle, I guess, off the
Yeah.
dribble.
Yeah, ball handling. Because I still swear that one that now he went up and finished the dunk, dude. But I thought it looked like for a second that ball was going to the rafters, dude. I was like, he ain't catching that. He just lost that thing. But hey, if it works, it works. So, yeah, we'll stick with it. Anything else y'all got, man? I know we're about an hour deep here. We'll go ahead and wrap this one up. Any news? Anything you want to shout out before we get out of here?
I mean, Silent K. I think Raul's got the stats on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gold
Yeah.
Glover.
So obviously, the U19 Team USA wins the gold. Nick Hamenia shoots 48% from the field, 44% from three for the entire tournament, 79% from the line, 10 points per game. So he had a real impact. I think he, I can't say that like I watched a lot of it, but from what I saw, he was like closing games pretty regularly.
I think for me, man, the biggest takeaway is like this kid can firmly play on the wing.
Yeah.
Right. Because
Oh,
I
yeah.
was kind of thinking, like, is he really just like a 4? And then what is that going to
Yeah,
do?
and then
But
it's
I
like
think he
he's
can
going to
slide
have to
up.
pose as a 3, right? Like, but he
Yeah.
just looks like a 3.
Yeah. I think he can kind of like Kyle was really more of a 4, but he could play 3 if you needed him to, man, just because of the physicality, the toughness, the ball handling was there, the shooting. So yeah, shouts to Nick, man. Shouts to Nick. All right, fellas, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap this one up. We'll come back, and I know we got a big guest trying to get that lined up and ironed up for the end of the month. So we'll get Coach on hopefully at some point here after Pete's Jam, after some of the recruiting stuff coming his way. And then we'll come back, and our next one, I guess we'll do kind of our quote unquote wings, if you want to call them that. Some of the wings. I know Slim's technically a wing, probably too, but who's counting? But either way, if you're watching this here on YouTube, we appreciate it. If not, you can check that out at TheDevilsDen.com. You can email us at TheDevilsDenPod@gmail.com. You can find us on X/Twitter at DevilsDenPod247. And keep the faces strong and the verb high. Stay cool. Go Duke.